Hello everyone, this is a video about the 3 T's. There's 3 T's that test our life. There's 3 tests of life that begin with a T, and it's amazing how we deal with these things. It doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter whether you're an amazingly kind person, it doesn't matter if what you perceive to be a bad person or someone's a bad person. No matter who you are or what you've got in your life or what you've got going on, you will always be given tests throughout your life that make you and build you into the person that you're meant to be, that build you and make you into the greatest version of yourself. And they're the 3 tests of life that I'm going to share with you. So unfortunately, you can't get out of these tests. It doesn't matter if you're a good person. It doesn't matter if you're doing everything right. You're still going to get tested. It doesn't mean the universe doesn't love you. The universe adores you. You know, it doesn't mean that you can't create your reality properly. It just means that every now and again, things are going to come in to really see if you're learning, you're growing as a soul, and you're making sense of things. And I'm just going to go through each test. So we've got 3 tests of life. Number 1 is troubles, number 2 is temptation, and number 3 is trespasses. So I'm going to talk about each one, why we go through them, and give you an example. So the number 1 test of life that we have is troubles. Troubles, we all have troubles in our lives. We all have troubles. These are situations that really wind us up and stress us out and mither us and get us going into chaos energy, that make the ego come out with a passion. These are the things that we worry about, whether it be financial things, we're worrying about money, or we're worrying about a relationship, or we're worrying about a job, or we're worrying about our home, whatever it is, we're worrying about our health. All these troubles come in to test our faith, and we go through worry, severe stress at times, severe anxiety, which can lead to dis-ease in the body, physical pain, suffering. We all go through troubles. And what are troubles for? Troubles are to test our faith. It's a test of faith so that we trust in something bigger than ourselves. We trust in the process of life, that things are working out for us, that we are always loved and supported from heaven. And when troubles come in, and usually troubles are to do with situations in our lives, then, you know, we have to kind of take a deep breath in and accept what's happened and let it go and allow everything to be sorted out the right way. So it's a test of faith. And to do this video, I've actually tuned into the energy of the amazing Jesus, because Jesus went through troubles while he was in his life, and they're like the most amazing analogies of the worst case scenario, really, and we can put that to our life. So to do with troubles, Jesus gave me a vision of Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, when he was in the garden and he was praying and he was sweating blood because he was that stressed out and scared and worried about what was coming. He knew he was going to get arrested, and he knew he was going to be put to death, and he was kind of pleading with God, saying, you know, why do I need to drink this cup of poison? Why are you making me do this, you know? And he was kind of questioning everything before he finally accepted it and said, okay, my life is in your hands. And that's when everything started falling into place for him. And you know, that's what we do. We have troubles and we start begging and pleading. Why am I going through this? Why am I a good person? What have I done to deserve this? Why am I going through this now? You know, what have I done to deserve this? Can I change this? How can I control this? What do I need to do? And all that energy creates panic and worry and stress, and really makes you sweat blood. You may not actually see physical blood like Jesus did in the garden, but you know, you feel it, you feel negative emotion, you feel sick, maybe you can't eat properly, you're not sleeping properly, all these horrible things happen, and it's because you're being guided to surrender. You're being guided to accept, just like Jesus said, okay, I will drink your cup of poison. take me now before I change my mind, okay? And you have to say, okay, I accept that this has happened. I now release this. I understand, okay, I may not understand, but I accept that there's a bigger picture to everything. There must be a blessing here. There must be a blessing in disguise. There always is. Always, always, always. Whatever you're going through, there's a blessing in disguise behind everything. So really start thinking, okay, I accept it now, this has happened, I can't change it. If you can't change it, let go. Let go of what you can't control. Have trust in the process of your life. Have faith in your journey and know that the angels have got your back. That's test number 1. Whew. Test number 2 is temptation. Temptation. What is temptation? Temptation is aimed at the ego. It's things that put us into a state of greed or lust or something that creates fear or want within us that tests our choices. So it could be something like, you know, you haven't got much money this week, but you really want to buy that thing you've just seen on the TV. Or you walk past the shop and it's saying, you know, £50 knocked off, buy me, buy me, buy me. And you buy it and then you're in financial hardship for the week. Or it's that person, if you're married or you're in a relationship and that person is you know, tempting you, and you think about your sexual desires and lust and you end up cheating on your partner. You know, that's something that brings terrible repercussions down the line. It's consequences. I always think of in the film Vanilla Sky with Tom Cruise. I don't know if you've seen that film, but he's given temptation. He's pretty much having one night stands every now and again with this girl, and then he meets another girl who's the love of his life, or who could potentially be the love of his life, and he has an amazing night with her. You know, they talk all night and they get on, and then he leaves in the morning. He comes out of her house and the one he's been sleeping with has followed him, and she's there in a car and she's saying, just get in the car and I'll make it up to you. You know, we can talk. And she tempts him, and you see him, he's trying to get in his car. And he should drive away. He should get in his car and drive away, and then he would be fine. He'd be with the love of his life. He'd have a happy life. But no, what does he do? He gets into the car with this other woman, and she goes psycho and crashes the car and kills herself, and he gets put into a coma, and he has physical trauma to his body, and he ends up being disfigured. And it's a consequence of an action. It's an action that was created by temptation. So throughout our lives, we get tempted. And a great analogy that Jesus showed me was Jesus being tempted in the wilderness by the devil. Because Jesus is in the wilderness, he goes in for 40 days and 40 nights, and he's hungry and thirsty. And, you know, the devil, Satan pops up and says, because I don't really call the devil, just so you know, I call it Satan. Satan turns up and says to Jesus, you know, I will give you this if you do this. Tempting him because he's weak, and tempting him because he's hungry and thirsty and weak. And Satan is trying to, you know, make him do things and react in a way that will create horrendous consequences and repercussions. And Jesus says no, Jesus is strong. So it's a test of faith again when you're being tempted, but it's a test to do what's right, to make the right choices, to not cheat on your partner, to not spend that money that you haven't got, to not make the wrong decision about a certain thing, to not eat that cake if you're dieting, you know, to not smoke that cigarette if you're trying to give up. We're being tempted all the time in amazing different ways. And the angels are saying, do what leads to peace. Do what leads to peace. Do the right thing, because you'll know it's the right thing, because it will lead you to a path of peace. So that's the next test of life, temptation. Amazing, aren't they? The third test of life is trespasses. These test your character. Now, what do I mean by trespasses? This is when people betray you, hurt you, knock you down, talk about you, all the things that people do to you that ultimately leads to you forgiving, that leads to forgiveness energy. It's when people slag you off and bitch about you, and these can be people that you've had real friendships with or real connections with, and for whatever reason they turn on you and they tell everybody how horrible you are, and you feel betrayed, you feel stabbed in the back. You know, whoever it is, whether it's a family member, a lover, a partner, a friendship, anything, you know. It can be anyone who triggers you, who winds you up, because your character's being tested. Your character's being tested, and it's how you respond, not how you react. So if you go defensive and lashing out and you're trying to justify everything and defend yourself, then, you know, it just leads to pain, which brings troubles in. And then your faith gets tested anyway, you know. So it's about how you let go. It's about how you forgive. It's about the person that's really, really hurt you. And you can turn around and forgive that person. Not necessarily saying you want that person in your life anymore, but you forgive that person. You free yourself from the chains of that pain. You free yourself from walking around with a hot coal in your hand. And I did a video on this the other day. Jesus spoke and said, you know, forgive. If he can forgive the heinous crimes, what people did to him, then you can forgive what others have done to you. And this is the analogy Jesus showed me. Jesus was betrayed. You know, he was betrayed with a kiss by Judas, who he saw as one of his amazing followers, you know. Judas betrayed him with a kiss. You know, he says, Judas, must you betray me with a kiss? The worst thing you could possibly do. Then he was arrested, he was beaten, he was whipped to the point of death. You know, if you've seen The Passion of the Christ, watch it if you haven't, you know. He was scourged. You know, he had people spitting on him and ridiculing him, calling him names. And then he was crucified in the worst possible way. He had nails driven into his hands and his feet. He was given vinegar because he was thirsty, which is just terrible, you know. And then they put a crown of thorns on his head that made his head bleed. And, you know, think about the severe pain, you know. This isn't from a religious point of view. This is, think about the pain that he went through. He went through this pain, and then they put him up on the cross and he's there dying. You know, you suffocate when you're being crucified. You suffocate because you haven't got the strength to lift yourself up. So he was suffocating, and he could hear all these people shouting at him and ridiculing him. People that had once called his name in joy and loved him. And these people were shouting repulsive things at him, you know. And I get a bit emotional when I'm talking about Jesus. And, you know, all these things that they did to me, but yet he forgave them. He forgave them. He said, Father, forgive them. They do not know what they are doing. You know, and this is the same thing when people betray you and hurt you. They can only see from their level of perception. They can only see things from their point of view. It doesn't matter if you're a beautiful person. It doesn't matter if you've helped people out. People will still twist things to the way they want to see it. So you have to get to a place of power where it doesn't matter what people do to you. It doesn't matter how people respond or react to you. It's how you respond that matters. You forgive, you let go. It's about your test of character, because forgiveness, letting go and responding with love no matter what, it builds up your character. And that's what Trespasses is all about. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I just wanted to jump on and do the 3 tests of life because the angels have guided me to that today. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon.